Bienvenidos y welcome to the Biz Bruja podcast, where reclaiming our powerful intuition, our sacred medicina, embracing our magic and healing ancestral patterns, invoke powerful creations in our own well-being, our lives, familias, community, and our businesses. Remembering that our businesses are so important at this time. I'm the creatrix of this blogcast, the Biz Bruja herself, Vanessa Codorniu, a modern-day bruja, fourth-generation psychic medium, clinical hypnotist, energy healer, and soul biz mentor and coach. An Argentine-American who started reading adults at 16, became a professional intuitive at 22, and now guides creatives, intuitives, healers, and entrepreneurs to break through fears, connect to the practical power of their intuition so they can serve the world powerfully. Hola y bienvenidos. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a little bit of a day late, but you know what? It's never too late to talk about the full moon in Taurus, especially when you're a sun in Taurus. I had to come on and I wanted to connect with you all because yesterday I guided my monthly membership, Bruja Rising, and we did a deep dive. So if you're curious about what happens there, I'll talk a little bit more later in this episode, but I was busy doing that and really feeling myself in this full moon in Taurus and also tending to my own ceremonies, my own practices. And then I said to myself today, you know what, Vanessa, while there's a lot of stuff out there, the way that we share how we perceive as an astrologer, because astrologers are not wrong if they're well studied and they have good intuition, right? It's just that we have different perceptions of the particular happening. Sometimes we're not so off from each other, and sometimes we look at it from a different lens. And so that's why I wanted to hop on and talk. Before we begin, I want to invite you. You may be walking, you may be talking, but because it is full moon in Taurus, I want to invite you to really be present in this moment. And so if you're not driving, take a moment to feel your feet on the ground or on the bed, wherever they may be, your booty in the seat, shake it a little bit where it is, and then just allowing your eyes to gently close. Taking a deep breath in, low in your belly, then exhaling, just allowing yourself to meet yourself where you're at. Not needing to change or shift or contort or pretzel yourself. Just taking another deep breath in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. And as you do, just allowing yourself to be present. And then setting an intention that this full moon that came into lunation yesterday, November 5th, is guiding you into greater embodiment, greater peace, and a greater sense of belonging, comfort, and security that also allows us to move forward. Taking another breath and asking that you may receive from this episode whatever you are needing. Taking another breath and gently coming back. And as you open your eyes, welcome. So I wanted to do that because at the heart of this full moon in Tauro is all about being present, all about really embodying your body, your mind, your spirit. A lot of us were up in our head, and trust me, I got a lot of Gemini in my chart. Hello, that's why I do all the things. So I love that Gemini energy. I love the mutable energy. At the same time, this full moon is in a feminine sign, in an earth sign, and it's in the earth sign that is fixed. So that means that there is a very deep invitation to take a moment to breathe. And it doesn't have to be only on November 5th, because hello, newsflash, when we have a full moon, it is the answered prayer, the developed intention of something that you already set into motion 6 months ago during the new moon in Taurus. And so we're coming to a culmination. All full moons are moments where the things that we've been turning away from, the things that we knew were happening, the things that were like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense, but I wasn't prepared to really look at it in entirety. That's what's happening. That's what's happening when there is a full moon. The full moon shows itself. We get to have those pieces of answers, or the pieces of the answers, or the answers to the pieces, etc., of the whole. We get to say to ourselves, oh, okay, this fits, this fits, this fits. I may have felt it intuitively. I may not have wanted to really accept it, but here it is. It's in my face. And so all the full moons work this way. They're a culmination of an intention that you set or energy set forward 6 months before. They are something that was already put in motion. It is a time to be able to understand and to perceive the wholeness of a situation. Now, sometimes we still don't want to, and I think more often than not, it can be subtle. Like a lot of us expect the full moon to hit us in the face, and I think sometimes it does. It depends where it hits your chart. And I think when it's in Aquarius, it might hit your chart. When it does an angle to Pluto or Uranus, it might change. It might hit you in the face. If you've been really delulu, it might hit you in the face. But I think from guiding my Bruja Rising group and from my own experience and from many clients that I've been talking to in the last week leading up to this full moon, that most of us are like, okay, I get it. I didn't want to look at it, but here it is. And so don't expect it's going to be a big slap in the face unless you've been very delusional. But really, it's more like a coming to Mother Earth moment, coming to Jesus moment, a coming to awareness where we're like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. And I would suggest this, so many people, I've been a psychic medium really since I'm 16 years old for free for years. Did not think this was going to be my career. This is something that was just my lifestyle. It's passed down generation to generation. And it comes, we're all intuitive, right? So I didn't think I was going to do this as my job, but remember that we're all intuitive. You've had hints of what this full moon is bringing you. You've just may not been prepared. Maybe you were handling other things. We can't do all the things all the time. So be gentle with yourself. This is definitely a moon where you're going to see something in a bigger picture, in a bigger light. And Goddess willing, God willing, Pachamama willing, Jesus willing, you're going to be able to ground. And that is a very powerful thing. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. There's a difference between information that we read and we're like, oh yeah, I can spit out the facts. And there's information that we live and breathe and exist. I was just thinking about this earlier. I was like, I barely talk about all the work that I do on a daily basis. I'm not talking about past lives and slipping into parallel existences. I'm not talking about soul releasement and all the entities talking and all the messages coming down because I live it, right? And so I thought back, I was like, wow, when I was younger, I talked about it a lot, like to anybody who would listen. But at that point, it wasn't my actual real job. I wasn't talking about it on a podcast. I wasn't being interviewed. I wasn't teaching classes online about it. And so there comes a point where information that you've learned just becomes a way of life, right? And that is called embodiment. When something is deeply anchored, it's like a part of you. It's something that you live and breathe. So that could be anything. That could be, there's so many people who cook deliciously. If you were to ask them, hey, what is the recipe? They're like, I don't really have a recipe. I just do this and I do that. And I throw this in, un poquito por aquí, un poquito por allá. And so a lot of the things that we're really good at, the things that we've integrated into our mind, body, and spirit, are embodied. And I think that's really the goal. I think that a lot of traditions have tried to tell us we have to transcend the human experience, that we have to go beyond it, that, being human is terrible, we're on a horrible garbage planet. And I mean, I can't argue in that it is pretty bad, right? Like it is pretty difficult, the things, but I think we've seen some signs of hope in the last week with elections in many different states. And wherever we may lie in the political spectrum, there's always hope. The thing is, whenever we are pursuing something that is taking us away from being embodied, from being present, we are actually causing disruption and we're causing disconnection and we're causing like a splitting. And life will do that to us. Trauma will do that to us. So we don't need to do that. So I invite you in this full moon in Taurus to return to yourself. If you've been too heady, if you've been working too hard and ignoring your body, it's time to do it. If you've been to come back to your body. That's what I mean. Time to do it. Time to come back to the body. And the thing is this, like, I know so many spiritual people who, when they're high on life and high on spirit and riding the wave of the purpose and the potential and the new thing that they're working on, we can barely sometimes sleep. We can barely, like, some of us don't eat that much, all the things. And what happens is a lot of us do not move that much. And that happens to spiritual people that I know. Of course, there are going to be people out there going, no, I do my yoga every day. And then I do my meditation. I do this. Yes, I get it. I'm talking about people who work in this field. Like we're in talking in service, doing astrology, doing podcast writing, that sometimes we get so caught up in the high wave. And it doesn't have to be just spirituality. Sometimes you're caught up in serving your family, right? You've got several kids, you're running here, taking care of your parents, taking care of your grandparents, whatever it may be, caught up in the promotion. We all get caught up in things that we're passionate about, and then we ignore. We consider and think that our body's always going to be there for us. And I think that our body will be there for us. The thing is, we cannot count on that, you know, our body will genetically be able to pull through all of the trauma all of the time. We all have lessons, we all have different health challenges. And so for the full moon in Taurus, I think this is a really wonderful time for us to reconnect with our body. Is it just taking a walk? Is it just really putting your hand on your heart and on your belly and being like, you know what, I'm sorry, I've ignored you. I barely drink water. I'm sorry, I'll give you agua, whatever it is, right? And I do drink water. But what I'm saying is reassess your relationship to your body, reassess your relationship to being present, right? Because sometimes, I went to retreats every year for 18 years. In my early years, woman gathering, and I taught classes there, and I was in Sweat Lodge every year with a teacher who just passed, Beverly Little Thunder, and I'm sending her so much love. So grateful for her and for her presence in my life and for the Inipi ceremonies that I was a part of. And every year I would do this, and every year go beyond the body, breathe, release desire, all that stuff, right? Now, trying to mentally release addictions, desires, bad, patterns that don't serve. I don't want to say bad patterns, but patterns that don't serve you can only go so far. Hypnosis works because it goes into the subconscious and it's mind, body, spirit. But when we're just like trying to convince ourselves, it could be hard. The thing is, if we go into and really connect to our body and ground into it, and even ask our body, ask our inner self, hey, why are you not moving? And why are we not drinking water? And why are we not eating the way we're supposed to? Whatever it is, whatever it may be, you will get a feeling. Sometimes we don't get words, we can get sensations, we can get awareness. So as you can tell, I'm going really big on the body wisdom and connecting to our bodies during this full moon. If we haven't been doing it in the last 6 months, it's time to do it now. El cuerpo nos necesita, and we need our bodies. We just ignore it. I know that I've always thought my parents were both immigrants. I mean, they ran themselves ragged till they died. My dad died at 78, still working. He died on a business trip. And my mom passed away at 75 from an illness. My dad passed suddenly. He had what we think was COVID, pneumonia, and he flew too soon, right? So these people were so active. And my dad's going to, like, he traveled to Switzerland from Miami, and then the same day traveled to Spain and then passed away, right? In a hotel room. Like, and he was sick. So it's like, when do we rest? And so I grew up with a particular belief, and I think that could be an immigrant thing. It could be just a work ethic thing. It could be any race related, not specifically, but I could say as a Latina that, my parents were like, you rest when you're dead. Hay que trabajar, hay que trabajar, hay que mover las nalgas, you got to move your butt. And so people ask me, you have so much energy and you're like, bing, 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 bing. And I'm like, well, I was raised by two people who were like that. And second of all, there was no other way. Like, I didn't have the privilege to be slow about things. I remember when I was 22 and living on my own in Manhattan. Yes, I did. I lived on my own, no roommates, no nothing, no man, no family paying my bills. But I had like two jobs and I worked 18 hours. And there were so many of my friends who lived with their parents at that time, at 22, and they were hanging out, they were playing, they were drinking, they were doing whatever. And meanwhile, I was like, I got to go to work. Now I'm going to go to my casting job. Then I'm going to go do this. Then I'm directing a play, or I wasn't directing at 22. I think it was 24. But I'm going to go teach my acting class. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that, or take my acting class. There was so much going on for me that I was this little adult already at 22. When people are like, oh, I was young, I was stupid at 22, I'm kind of like, what is that like? I don't know. Well, we all have our challenges, right? But what I'm saying is that that's one of the ancestral beliefs that I had to heal. And so during this full moon in Taurus, as we reconnect with our bodies, with being grounded, with being present, the importance of our bodies, the importance of being present. Right? Because I think, why do we do meditation? Why do we go to therapy? Why do we chant? Why do we stretch? Why do we do yoga? Why do we do all the things? To be in the present moment and release the stress of the past, release the anxiety of the future, to be okay with ourselves, to live life in the fullest manner by being okay. And it's not easy to be okay, especially in this political climate at this time. There's a lot of people suffering in the world, and there always have been, right? Just that maybe we were not privy because of the media. And so, one, the invitation to one, look at what did you set in motion 6 months ago? What's coming through? Two, to really, I don't want to say analyze because that's not the word. I don't want you to go into your mind, to go into your body, right? To return to our body. And, it doesn't imply that you're not in your body. I'm just saying to reconnect and to ask ourselves, what do I need? Do I need more movement? Do I need more walks? Do I need more quiet? Do I need dance time? So many of us love to dance, and as time goes on and obligations pile up, we let go of that connection to moving our bodies and like feeling, and it makes us feel alive. And so reassessing, what makes me feel present? What makes me feel alive? If you love to go and sculpt, go sculpt. If you love to do pottery, go. It's very earthy, it's very connected. Do the thing that brings you into present moment and brings you peace. That's something that we need to understand about Taurus, right? So when we think of Taurus, we see this bull. We know it's a feminine sign. It's ruled by Venus, and it's always this bull laying around, chewing on a piece of grass or hay. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm a Taurus. I never seen no lazy Taurus in my life. We're always like dale que te dale, and some of us have three jobs. They were doing this, we're doing that. It's very few Tauruses that are chill, and some of the Tauruses that I see that are chill are usually Tauruses that are retired or supported, and you stay-at-home moms, but they're still not chill about their kids. They're making the meals, they're taking care of them, but they're not working full time, right? They're working as parents. And so, what I think really the Taurus bull is really signifying is that we have to work towards that because we've worked so much. And so, yesterday, today, November 6th, in the coming week, in the coming 2 weeks, as the moon begins to wane, right? Because there is something that is concluding that you initiated 6 months ago. Reassess how you could bring more peace into your life, how you could bring more rest. Like, I don't sleep a lot, and I've never have, to be honest with you. I've always slept 4 to 6 hours. Is it because I'm an older sister and I woke up early to take care of my siblings? Is it because I had to travel so far to go into high school at LaGuardia High School from Queens when I was young? Is it because I used to do casting work and have to be on a set at 5, or that I had a day job and a night job, or that I'm just a night owl? Who knows? I've been working on sleeping more, but I will say on the Fitbit, it does say that I always get deep sleep. So even if I'm sleeping 5 hours, they're like, girl, you slept deep. And I'm like, that's why my cognitive hasn't declined. So reassess, and if, like, for me, if I can't sleep more than 6 hours, I'm going to give myself a rest time. Is there a moment in time where I think of nothing, solve no problems, do not read, because I love to learn, read nothing, analyze nothing, create nothing, just be in the moment. We have to give ourselves those moments of nothingness because those moments of nothingness clear out the brain, clear out the soul, clear out the body to make space for what is coming. And because it is the full moon in Taurus and it is culmination of something, it is also inviting us to release things that don't work. You know, some people might think that, I don't know, using certain, like, I think if you think having 8 beers is restful, really understanding the impact of the alcohol on your body as a woman of a certain age, a man, a person, right? So look at what are you leaning into to bring you back to your body, to give you rest, to give you a chill moment, and is it still working for you? Because if it worked 10 years ago or 10 months ago, it may not work today. Another thing that I want to bring attention to is that wherever this full moon lunated, shown its light upon your chart. And you can go, some people like the Channy app. I like it. It's whole house. And when we do generalized horoscopes, and all the horoscopes are generalized because we have to go whole house. That's why you should look at your rising and you should look at your sun. And if you're tempted to and you think that your moon is impacting you a lot, read that horoscope as well. So you can look at the Channy app, or you can go to free natal chart and pick another one. You can go to alabe.com, free natal chart. That is not whole house, and see where this full moon is shining in your chart. If it's shining in your first house, we're talking about. So before I get into that, when we talk about Taurus, it's not just the body, it's not just the earth, it's not just grounding. It rules the second house of self worth. And self-worth is also connected to abundance, right? If we're not willing to get paid for our work, if we're not willing to raise prices, if we're not willing to ask for the promotion or go for it or up level ourselves in our work, we're not going to get paid. And so it is about self-worth, knowing that we're worth it, knowing that we're worthy, and then also receiving the abundance. And abundance isn't always money, it's abundance of friendship, of health, of energy, of good connections, of opportunities. So expanding our definition of what is wealth, what is abundance. Okay. So now the full moon is lunating on the house, right? And all the 12 houses cover a particular part of your psyche, of your life, of different areas in your development, right? And so when it's in the first house, we're talking about there's a lunation of full moon calling attention to you, to your self-worth. Are you presenting yourself with self-worth? Are you stepping out into the world with self-worth? Because the first house is how other people perceive you. The second house, how is your self-worth tied into your abundance? Are you feeling that you're making enough? Are you feeling you're saving enough? How worthy do you feel of the opportunities that are coming for you? Do you need to do any work there? The third house, usually short trips, our cousins, our neighbors, our siblings, also social media, but different than the 11th house, which is spread out throughout. Um, it's more like immediate marketing and promo sometimes, but also gossip. How are you grounded in your communications with your neighbors? Do you need to take a little short trip to feel really grounded and comfortable and safe, and good? The fourth house, the house of ancestors, the house of your home, the full moon is there shining. Is it time to really give um, deep thanks for all that you do have? We're always thinking about what we don't have, but we need to acquire. What are we setting intentions for? The trick is that the more grateful we are, the more open hearted that we are, the more we are apt to receive what we're wanting. And so when the moon is lunating in the fourth house, time to give thanks to our ancestors, right? We just had Samhain, we just had uh, All Saints Day, El Dia de los Muertos, all of that. It's still happening. I know that those days are particular, the veil is thin, but to me, saying thanks to your ancestors is an everyday thing. So thanking your ancestors and also being deeply grateful for the gifts that you've had. And how can gratitude bring you into more abundance in your home? The fifth house of creativity, of your children, of risk taking, of flirtation, of romance, right? So when the full moon is lunating there, calling attention to your creative projects. What creative projects are done now? Is there something new? How are your kids doing? Is it time to pay attention to back to basics, right? Because Taurus is also going back to basics, to grounding, to food. How do we tend to ourselves? How do we create comfort in our daily lives, right? Sixth house, speaking of daily lives, is your habits, your routines. It is your environment, your pets. So if you've got the full moon lunating your sixth house, is it time to revamp? Or time to be like, well, in the last 6 months, did I follow through on my routine change? And if I didn't, let me put it in there if I need to. And if not, how do I change or shift up to feel comfortable in my environment, yet not stuck? And we haven't talked about that yet. So let me go through all the houses. The seventh house, when the full moon is lunating in the seventh house, giving thanks for the relationships you do have, your marriages, your relationships, your close friendships, your siblings that might feel like they're your wife or husband, in a way, like, or your work wife or husband, and or your business partners. Where can you continue to grow? Where is the full moon lighting up and telling you to be aware of the situation here? Going into the eighth house of resources, of death, birth, life, rebirth, power, sex. What awareness are you coming into about your own power? Important. About your own sexuality, or have you forgotten about it? Right? How does it make you feel connected? What are your worries about that? About death, birth, and rebirth. A lot of things. We could do a whole episode on that. The ninth house, looking at the higher purpose, higher education, foreign travel. Higher education is not always getting a PhD life and coming out with wisdom. But what I would say about the ninth house is if there's a lunation there, especially full moon, how has your higher purpose or your spiritual beliefs lit you up the last 6 months, right? Going into your 10th house, the full moon there, time to step back for a moment and give thanks. What is your reputation? People see you as respectable, right? because Taurus is on your 10th house. What have you been building? What do you want to continue to build? What are you grateful about building? Going to the 11th house, if it's shining in your 11th house, if you've got Taurus on the 11th in your natal chart, what we're dealing with there is organizations, networking, friends, connections. And this full moon is shining light. Who are your friends? Who are not your friends? Who has your back? Who doesn't? What networking is working for you? What is not working for you? The 12th house, that's where it's illuminating for me because I'm a Gemini rising. Solitude, rest, chilling, revamping, also releasing mindsets that don't work. And just to let y'all know, I've been sick for like 2.5 weeks. And one of the weeks I had no voice, so I couldn't do any hypnosis. I couldn't work, which really sucks because I support myself. And I will say that I really recognized, I was like, oh, I'm being prepared for something. And I started to look at the whole year because I had a headache, I was coughing up a lung, the whole thing. I looked at the whole year, how it was pretty nonstop. It was a really, really creative year. This year is a 4-year numerological for me, which is stability and all that. But I'll say it felt more like a 5, and then I was involved in so many creative projects. So it was a moment to reassess. Where are my two businesses? The Biz Bruja, Improv Unleashed. I've been doing a lot of leadership, improv-based leadership training. Where do I go next? I've gotten a lot of media for Los Complicados, with my one-woman show. How do I bring it all together? Do I bring it all together? And then just letting go of all of that and being like, I'm just going to rest here. All right. I'm going to stop thinking. As I was saying earlier, we sometimes need to empty the cup to then let the universe fill it with the opportunities. And so after a really crazy year that started in like January, like back to back, like I'd be shooting a film for 8 hours and then on a weekend and then going to the theater and performing in front of like 150 people in the hyena skits, right? So it'd be like a 16-hour day. And then the next day I'd be doing sessions. Then going to take a walk. So it's like I've been like this. This sickness made me chill the F out. And so if you're also dealing with a cold or a flu or something like that, assess like, damn, did I need a virus to get me to relax? Sometimes we do, and it's also okay. But it was hard to be like, okay, I'm accepting that I get to do nothing. But then I looked at the charts and I looked at everything. I'm like, oh, the full moon is moving its way into my 12th house, telling me to lay down and stop thinking. The thing about the lunation in the 12th house too is that they're unseen forces working against you, unseen forces working for you. And so it's a really great time to just cleanse your energy, cleanse yourself. And even if you don't know exactly what you're letting go, I release anything that's standing my way. I release self-sabotage. I release even the known or unknown. And so that's a very quick trip around. So one of the things that I will say before I close out that I went into depth with my Bruja Rising group, my Bruja Rising membership, by the way, if you've never taken a class with me, is $29.99 a month. I've never raised the prices in 5 years. Self-worth, do I need to raise them? And if you have taken a class with me, it is, what is it? I think it's $21.99 a month, and you get 2 sessions. One is a full moon session, the other one is a new moon session. We go through all of the astrology, and then we go specifically to look at your chart, how it's affecting you, much like we did a little bit here, but on speed. But we're going to do it slower in the membership. And then I open the records and answer a question. People really like it. Most of the people in the group have been there 5 years. So it's been really awesome. So if you're interested, let me know. Moving on, and that's called Bruja Rising membership. So something that's really at the heart of this full moon. And it's stuff like Tauruses are known for. Tauruses are known for holding on, holding on, holding on to friends, holding on to things, holding on to books, holding on, holding on, holding on, holding on to possessions, holding on to ways of being. If you're a Taurus that doesn't have a lot of air or fire, I pity the fool, right? No, I don't, because there's lessons in everything. I'm just being silly. What I mean is that it's such Taurus without any fire or air is real stuck. It's stuck as hell, okay, girl? You need to get out. You need to step out of what you know. And so what happens is the known is seen as the only thing that matters. And so I've met Tauruses like this, and they don't want to step out. Because I have a lot of mutable, moon and Gemini, Mercury, Gemini, Gemini rising, fire, Venus, fire, Mars, and mutable midheaven. I happen to think that the unknown is positive. So I know most of us fear the unknown. fear it, fear it, fear it. And I'm not saying I'm not scared about shit that's going to be down the road, or, I do a lot of improv, so I'm dealing with the unknown all the time. But what I'm saying is the unknown can be scary. But I always, since I was younger, I'm like, well, things got to be better than this. This got to be better. And so even though they say Taurus could be negative because they're realistic, I've always been more of a dreamer and more of an explorer and more of a curiosity mindset. So if you are a pure Taurus, or maybe you're just a Gemini with a lot of Taurus, or maybe you're an Aquarius that's fixed, or Scorpio, please look at places where you're really fighting to stay stuck. Because I know as soon as I get readings and people are asking for change, but it's like they want it to happen to them. They want the change to come. They want the new great job to come. They want the UPS guy or girl to be the love of their life. They're not going to go take a chance and date and do the thing. And the universe is definitely conspiring for our success, and not the success that we think, like, I'm going to find the mate, I'm going to make all the money. It is like, are you stepping into your challenges? Are you stepping into what is being asked of you? Are you continuing to grow? And I know that these challenges could be overwhelming. There's so many times in my life where I'm like, oh, girl, I'm done. I am done. Cocinada, stick a fork in me. And then I rest, I cleanse, I call my ancestors, and I'm like, all right, let's go. Where are we headed? And so if you find that you have been stuck, that you're complaining that you're stuck, pull out a journal, put out your iPhone, take notes. Ask yourself how this stuckness has helped you feel safe. Because that's the thing. Stuckness makes you feel safe. It's like better the devil that you know than the devil you don't know, that old saying, right? El diablo que conocemos es mejor que el diablo que no conocemos. But I don't think there's a devil. It could be a beautiful fairy godmother. It could be the wildest adventure that brings you everything you ever wanted. I've said this many times. Had I not listened to my intuition, and a reader or two who told me, girl, fly, and I had not stepped out to do this full-time work, which, by the way, I did not want to do. I'm a Taurus. I needed my money. Okay. I got Jupiter and Virgo too. So it's earthy. And alone since I'm 21, I never really wanted to be doing such risky work. But here I am 13 years in, and then started a second business. So, and I love it because I don't mind working. I have a great work ethic. I'm multi-talented. I love to do many things. We also have to flow into the direction of the things that we want. If you want to have 5 kids, maybe having your own business that supports you isn't the thing, or maybe it is, depending on the support you have. And so look at what you've been holding on to that's kept you safe. Thank it for keeping you safe. And then ask yourself how to shake it up. How do we shake it up? And by the way, I just got a text from a friend of mine, right? Now, y'all know that I do musical improv. I perform like a lot. I'm on 6 teams. I have a one-woman show right now that I'm trying to get into different theaters. So if you have connections, reach out. It's a really good show. It's about ancestral healing. But a friend of mine texted me and goes, you know what? Do you want to go to an open mic and I'll play guitar for you. And I'm like, hama. I haven't done that in a long time. It's so much easier to get on stage and invent a song and not be judged because you're like, well, you're not up here inventing shit. And here I am. Fuck it if my voice sounds like shit. But there's another thing about just sitting or standing in front of a mic and somebody strumming a guitar for you. So it kind of scared the crap out of me for a minute. We're going to practice and I'm going to go next week. And so that's just, we can choose to step out of our comfort zone in ways that have low risk. Low risk. And the truth is that I already sang a cappella. I sang, Gracias a la Vida, sung by Mercedes Sosa, for a poetry recital when I was hoarse. And I sang it because I felt that, especially in this climate, Spanish needed to be heard, a Latina needed to be seen. And I was like, I'm going to do it even though my voice is hoarse. So now that I say it to you, I'm like, well, singing with a guitar is not going to be that hard, right, girl? So yeah, take a chance, step out of your usual. And a lot of the times we're afraid to step out of the usual because we're like, well, afraid to lose what we have. Can we dare to think? I mean, not willy-nilly and not being ungrateful and not taking anything for granted. Why can't it get better? Why can't we grow? And the thing is with Taurus, that's what we do. We build, we grow. And so some questions I want to leave you with, right? So closing your eyes for a moment and just breathing deeply. What am I really proud of building in my life? What I've been building, what has been growing, what has been making me feel very fulfilled. And then taking another breath and asking, where do I feel that I've been stuck? Maybe I've been progressing in my business and my work, my career, but I haven't been progressing with relationships and spending time with people that I love. Where am I feeling stuck and comfortable? Stuck and comfortable. And then taking another breath. What is the deep invitation from my soul, from my higher self, from my deepest knowing that allows me to stay safe and also take a risk or change things up? How can I change things up? Taking a deep breath in. And giving thanks, knowing that your higher self, your deepest knowing, your well and wise ones are with you at all times, opening your eyes. And so beautiful people, thank you for listening. I'm glad I hopped on here. I hope it serves. Let me know. It feels good when you let me know that you listened to this, read it, or however it goes. And I started in 2019. And it's not been able to do it every week or sometimes every month because life gets in the way. But I made myself a promise a long time ago because before 2019, people asked me to do a podcast. And I was like, I don't know, no sé si tengo tiempo. And I'm somebody like, once I commit, I'm going to do it. But I like to do it well, you know. But I will say that allowing myself to just show up, progress over perfection has meant everything. So sending you all so much love. Remember, the next 2 weeks is about releasing, because we're moving towards a new moon. But we're still integrating this full moon in Taurus. So take a minute. Let's not jump ahead, even though I'm getting excited about the new moon, and allow ourselves to be grounded, present, to reassess, to see how we can feed our beautiful bodies, our beautiful souls, our beautiful present moment, and to grow and tend to what makes our heart shines. Mucho amor. Love you all so much. And of course, let me know.